Matt 8-1
Every time, Lisa.
Oh. Are we live?
Every damn time. I don't care what it is we are doing. Listen. We go live. I say to all of our listeners, I say, hey, okay, let's go. You ready? And everyone's like, yep. And I hit go live. And then Lisa waits 3 beats and starts chatting about something.
I thought because usually like, okay, we're live. I'm like, I was waiting.
They were like, anyway, hello, everyone. Welcome. This is the Our Turf Football Podcast. If you're new here, this is kind of how it always is, just in case.
It's how we roll. It's how we roll.
I'm Dana. We have Lisa. We have Sonia. And over the last few weeks, we have been talking about all the different divisions in football. And tonight, we have saved not the least for the East. I don't remember what we named the title. But anyway, we're doing the East today, AFC and NFC East today. But before we do that, I want to chit chat with everybody and let them know that once again, this year, we are doing the Our Turf Fantasy Football League. Now, we've done it the last couple of years. We actually mail you a trophy. Like, you get a trophy, you get to keep. It is free. You don't win any money. If you win the whole thing, you get a trophy and bragging rights for an entire year. And the group that plays in these fantasy football leagues are so much fun. We have such a good time. It's all for fans. Sonia and Kate play in it every single year. And so you get a chance to play against them and you can rub their nose in it because it's just super fun. So it's what we do. So
and it's free.
It is free. So if you are interested in playing fantasy football with us, you either need to send us a DM with saying that you're in and your email address, either to Twitter or to Blue Sky. Sonia, do you check the Facebook DMs too?
In case not really. That's a little bit more complex.
Okay. So if you only do Facebook, make it a comment on Facebook because then we'll be able to see that easier. So anyway, you don't have to put your email on a comment. Just say that you're in and we'll email you. So anyway, if you guys want to play, it's a lot of fun. So I really hope that all of you guys join us for fantasy football. And if we fill up one league and we have enough for a second one, we'll open up a second one. We'll play the game for sure. So, all right. So that was let's see, Sonia, what did you tell me? You're going to set it up the beginning of August?
Yeah, we're going to set it up in the beginning of August, aiming to have the draft either August 30th or August 31st, which is after all the preseason games are done. Mm-hmm. So that way we know if somebody gets injured, it'll already be done and over with, hopefully. So yeah. And
awesome.
Yep. We're going to have fun.
All right, everyone. So just a reminder to everyone else, if you are watching over on Twitter, over on Facebook, over on Blue Sky, come over to the YouTube channel. You can join in our chat with our good friend, Kristen. She's never done fantasy before. It's a great place to learn. We will help you guys. Girl, you just get a hold of me. I'll do it.
You got to go. You got to go.
It's so fun.
No, she doesn't.
Then we have our good friend, Big Red, the beast in the East. You know, it's funny you say that, Big Red, because there's going to be some interesting things going on in the East this year. So, okay, everyone, welcome. And once again, if you're watching somewhere else, come over, chit chat with us. All right, AFC East. Now, as all of you guys know, Lisa is a Dolphins fan. This is her division. But let me run through a few little things about the AFC East. So there are 2 new head coaches in the AFC East this year. You have the Jets have Aaron Glenn, who was the former Lions defensive coordinator. And the Patriots picked up Mike Vrabel in the worst kept secret ever. Let me tell you that we were calling for that before the playoffs started, right? He was the former head coach of the Tennessee Titans. He's been all over this league. So he's very well known. The draft grades for all 4 teams were actually pretty good. The Bills, you saw them get an A after an A, and they had 9 picks. The Dolphins would get B, I call it B-ish. Like they would get B's, B minus, C, B plus. They were kind of in that range. They had 8 picks this year. The Patriots got A after A after A, and then one real grumpy dude was not happy and gave him a C. So anyway, whatever. And they had 11 picks. That was huge. And then the Jets also got some B's. They had 7 picks that year, this year. The Bills, here's the thing with the Bills. You know, I was reading articles just to get some stats and to kind of figure out where these divisions were. Some little, I call them sound bites. Listen to this. The Bills, since 2020, have won 13 games, 11 games, 13 games, 11 games, 13 games. And who always is their brick wall? The Chiefs, who have beaten them in the playoffs 4 times. So they needed to figure out how to get over that hump. So they added Joey Bosa.
And I forgot about that.
Yeah. Then you have Josh Allen, who is the MVP. And then with their defense, their first 5 picks in the draft were all defensive players. Then they grabbed a tight end and got another defensive player. I wonder what the game plan is to improve for the Bills this year. They got to figure out how to shove that football down Patrick Mahomes' throat. That's what they're trying to do.
That's it.
Seriously. Then you go to the Jets, booted Aaron Rodgers. And we would think that was the story. But let me tell you, that was not the end of it. Listen to this list. They cleaned house. Devontae Adams, Tyler Conklin, Morgan Moses, Hassan Reddick, Tyron Smith, DJ Reed, CJ Mosley, Kinlaw, all gone. They were rid of everybody, right? And what did they do? Got a new head coach and said, we're starting over. We still have Sauce Gardner. We still have Brees Hall. We still have all kinds of great players, but we are starting over. The Jets really feel like I saw the word retool a lot. Not rebuild, because they have these great skill players, but retool. Their O-line is actually pretty good. So we'll see how they do. And then, of course, they got a new quarterback, which Lisa's going to tell us all about. Then you have the Dolphins. The Dolphins have had the busiest week. Thank God for the Dolphins, Lisa. We needed something to talk about this week. I think I posted, when all the football analysts are talking about Wimbledon and golf and baseball, there's something else going on. So they traded Jalen Ramsey, Tonu Smith, got Minka Fitzpatrick. So jealous. I'm so jealous, Lisa. So jealous. Then they picked up the almost retired Darren Waller. He retired, then decided he was coming back as a tight end. There's a rumor floating around out there. Lisa will have to tell if it's real or not, that they're trying to go after TJ Watt. So it's interesting. The real question, obviously, is going to be quarterbacks. That's going to be another thing that they're going to have to look at. So then the Patriots. The word that when you're researching the Patriots, is people are bullish on the they're excited for Vrabel, to come in, right? I'm sorry, it wasn't the Dolphins going after TJ Watt. It was the Patriots going after TJ Watt. Sorry, Lisa, you don't get TJ Watt. Sorry. But their question, they have these skill players. They came in, they have some pieces. What can Drake May do? Right? That's going to be the biggest question there. So that is kind of a rundown of where the AFC East sits. Lisa, I know you like to talk about quarterbacks, but I also know you pay attention to a lot of the other pieces of football and the pieces around the quarterbacks. But what is your feel being a fan in this division? What is your feel of this division right now?
I still think the Buffalo Bills are a team to catch. Like you hit it earlier when you said about the defense, side of the ball. Offensive wise with the Buffalo Bills, I don't think you're worried too much, right? Josh Allen just got married. He's a happy guy. I think their only disgruntled player right now is James Cook. They're trying to work out contract with him, but he did show up in training camp. So I think that was kind of good. It's mandatory. He showed up. So I think Josh was happy.
He's like, all right, I'll go.
I'll come. Good faith, right? That's how they do this. This is how we play the game. You show up in good faith. That means, you want to be here. So let's get some money on the table. I think they'll pay him. I think they'll need somebody in the backfield for Josh. Like you said, they had the signings on defense. So, I think they're just poised to defend the AFC, and they're poised to defend the AFC championship. They're also getting poised to beat Patrick Mahomes. So right now. So when you look at the AFC East, that's you still, until you're like Michelle always says, you're the king of the mountain until you're knocked off. Right.
Yep,
and
exactly.
Everybody's going, when you look at the whole AFC East, you look at coaching, and then we have 2 defensive minded coaches too, by the way. Those 2 coaches are all defense. Right.
I love it.
Right.
Of course you do.
Makes me happy.
Right. So, obviously the blueprint's there for them, right? They're defensive guys, both of them. Defenses win championships in their mind. So I think you're going to see a little bit of that um, uh, in the system that we're putting in now, it's going to be basically just defense because you've got to beat Patrick Mahomes. You got to get the blueprint to beat the Chiefs, and everybody in the division's gearing up for that except for us.
Here's what's interesting. I think touching on the Patriots again, or no, I'm sorry, not the Patriots, the Bills. When you have a singular vision, you trust in your offense, which, they've got, a couple of good tight ends. I think they probably could have added a little bit more there, but, they did get some pieces and that's great. But when you're like, we do just fine scoring the points, we can't stop the points.
Right.
And so you go all in, and that's what they have done. That, to me, I don't know, it seems to be a huge momentum maker, right? You're like, if we get this defense grizzly, it could be really interesting. I want to ask you about the Dolphins and these trades that were made this week. It seems to me that, there was no question that Ramsey wanted out. He was not quiet about that in any way, shape, or form. And to be honest with you, being a Seahawks fan, I'm just thrilled he didn't go back to the Rams, or I'm just like, whatever. But I think that it was interesting. There's a lot of fans who aren't happy.
It is. And it's 50-50 down here right now. And the thing is, none of us have crystal balls. We have no idea if this trade's good. Who on paper, we got rid of a Pro Bowl tight end. He was coming into his own. He saved a lot of our games last year. I can think 3 games on 3rd and long that he came up with the catch to move the sticks. So I don't know. You go to some of the fan base, it's like, Greer just doesn't. It's always been said that Greer has cap money on players, that he won't go over a certain price for a player, and regardless. And then Mozart hit the Twitter, our former running back, and it was just like, it's a shit show down in Miami. If you want to be a Pro Bowler and get treated like crap, he just let it rip.
He went off. Yeah.
He went off. So it just doesn't have a very good look. Ramsey obviously had some parting shots for us. So it's, but like I said, who knows? And it's, right now we're gearing up, bringing Wallen back. He's 33. Smith was 30. Apparently the only team he would play back, I guess, our tight ends coach Smith, is a former coach of his, and he loves him. So he said the Dolphins would be the only team, if he came out of retirement, he'd play for. So they made the trade with the Giants to gain his services. Fitzpatrick's back where he started. We can only say it was that whole coaching regime that he didn't want to play for. So it's a new, tunnel. I'm not worried about that because, like you said, that's old news. He's not a player that hates Miami. I just don't think he liked the scheme that the Dolphins were running at that time. And he's a Pro Bowler, so we'll see what brings that. We went defense on, and as everybody else did in the draft, same thing. We already know the Dolphins can score. We already know we got high octane with Tyreek and the offense that Mike runs. Defensive side of the ball, question marks. Jalen Phillips, our edge rusher. Can he stay healthy? We haven't had a full season with him. So then we brought Kenneth Grant in, the big dude from Michigan, who, everybody was high on. That's a question mark. So we just don't know. So we'll see. I do think it's a soft rebuild. I don't think it's a hard rebuild that we're doing. But what we're doing, and everybody's saying that it's Greer and McDaniels are fine. I don't think they're fine. I think if we struggle, I don't see the same regime at the end of the season. But it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a fun division to watch. You got 2 young quarterbacks that we have no idea. We get a little bit of what Justin Fields can do, got a little bit of what Drake Mayo can do, but we have no idea. It's going to be on full show for see how these quarterbacks do under their new coaches. And so it's going to be interesting. So it should be fun to watch for second place, at least.
Right. Right. Let's do that's right for sure. Okay, so let's go back to our chat. So will the Jets do better now that they got rid of Aaron Rodgers? Let's be real. They're the Jets. Yes, but I also think the answer to your question is yes. I think that, and this is just me, but when you have a player like that, you kind of rely on them to be a mentor, to get things right, to be that leader. That is not who Aaron Rodgers is. And I'm not disrespecting him. It's just, he has said, publicly, I'm not here to be your teacher. Right. And so that's just not, I think, what the Jets needed at the time. So I do think actually that they will be better. Big Red's second question was, can the Finns beat the Bills to win the division? No, I don't think so at all. I don't think any of these teams are there in any way.
Just yet. I mean, I think they're building.
Yeah.
I think they're building.
Oh, they're getting there, but this is not the year. And then Big Red also said, I'm picking up Big Reds because they're funny. You know who need the Jets need to revitalize their organization? Tim Tebow. I smell a comeback. The answer to that is no. No, Big Red. So Kristen then said there are high expectations for Vrabel. I agree. And I think that's a huge part of this resurgence, and people are bullish and they're high upside on the Patriots is the expectation of the coach.
Right.
I think that will be interesting, and understandably. I mean, he's been a head coach before, and then Bob wants to know, hi Bob, how are you? Wants to know, can the Eagles repeat? We're going to get to that division next. I promise. I just didn't want you to think that I wasn't watching it. No. And then
we got it.
Steven says he came into class late. And then he put in there that he slowly walked to the back to sit down. You don't ever have to hide, Steven. We're glad for that. We're glad you're here. And then Kristen said the Steelers lost the trade and the Dolphins scored. And I want to explain, because Kristen and I are in full agreement on this. Good thing they took Ramsey off Miami's hands. He's a distraction. Guys don't play their best if they don't want to be there. So why keep him there, right?
Exactly.
I think that's a huge, huge part.
And yeah, it is. And and Smith wanted to get paid. He wanted big money. Johnny wanted to get paid. He did. I mean,
and at 30 for a tight end, that's a hard one for sure. You have to kind of see how it goes. Stephen also wants to know, how many games do you need to see to know if someone is in trouble in your division? Lisa, what do you think?
That's
what do you think? You need 5 to 6 games?
5 games. Yep. Give me 5 games in.
Honest to God, ladies, we have said that for 10 years. You never know who a team is until week 6. I think that is so true. Yep. I think that is a huge, huge thing for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah. And then what's the breaking point for the Patriots? When are they at critical mass on the coaching front? I think that they'll give Vrabel No, I think they'll give Vrabel 2 years, at least 2 years.
Oh, at least 2 years.
Don't you think, Sonia? Because
but do they? I mean, like you said, out of all these coaches, I mean, I think McDaniel's going to feel a little pressure. I do. I think he kind of understands.
I need you to call him by his real name, please. I'm so disappointed.
Hipster homebrewer is I think going to be a little bit under the pressure. But I think Vrabel has the most, because like Sonia said, the expectations of what you guys said is he's going to be under it's a win now for him. I honestly believe that.
I don't think it's win now for him. I think he's going to get some grace. I think they did Mayo, like they gave him that year just to say that they did, but just to get to Vrabel. And I think they're going to give Vrabel some grace. Oh, no. I think that's my thought. I think he's going to get some grace.
I think that had to have been part of the contract negotiations. It's like, listen, I will come coach for you, because they wanted him so badly.
That's what I'm saying. I think that they just are expecting it. I think as far as what we're talking about here, I'm on the opposite. I think Aaron Glenn gets the grace. I don't think Vrabel does. I don't. I think he's going to I think he's going to feel the pressure right off the bat to win.
So Steven also says, why would you think Mike gets 2, but Mayo had such a short lease? Because I think that they let Mayo be the head coach because that's what the players wanted. I think they were just trying that out. I don't know how serious they were. And if he had taken off like a shot and everything had been great, they would have left him. But I just didn't feel like I felt like they were maybe pressured into that a little bit by the players and and the fans. The fans love him too, right? So that'll be interesting. So Big Red then says, even though he's long gone, did Belichick set the bar too high? I think I agree, Sonia, but at the same time, I think that they realize that time has passed. That was 20, you know what I mean? It's been long enough. So
I think Brady set the bar high. I don't think Belichick did.
Oh, Billy B. All right, let's move on to the NFC East. So there is one new head coach. I know. There's one new head coach in Dallas, Brian Schottenheimer. That's all I'm going to say. So he's been the offensive coordinator for a million teams, including the Seattle Seahawks, and he wasn't terrible. He wasn't a terrible OC. So we'll give him
a good football mind, right?
He does.
Football family. I mean, you got to give the pedigrees there.
Oh, anyway. Okay, so draft grades. Dallas. I saw everything from, they had 9 picks, everywhere from an A+ to a C-. Like, no one can ever agree on
Solid
Dallas.
B.
Right. The Giants had 7 picks. They had Bs. We're going to talk about this in a minute, but they had 4 players that I would have freaking died for. Then Philadelphia had 10 picks. They got A's across the board for the most part. Washington only had 5 picks, but they got straight A's across the board too. People were pretty happy with that. In Dallas, here, I read this in multiple articles where people like, Jerry, you had one job. You had to go out and get a really good veteran running back. And you completely whiffed on the whole entire thing. I read that all and over, didn't get it. The head coach, I read, people were like, this is uninspiring. There wasn't any spark to this hire. They took them forever. And then they did pick up a couple pieces. Here's the thing. Their defense last year allowed 137 yards a game in rushing. They were like 29th. And I don't know that they made that any better. We'll see. New York Giants, Russell Wilson.
I like
Jameis Winston, Jackson Dart, Tommy DeVito. How many quarterbacks do you need? You got them all.
Listen,
you got all of them.
Listen, can I just say one quarterback comment here?
Yes.
This dude's taking no chances. After Daniel Jones, this dude's taking no chances.
He's like, we're going to have all the quarterbacks and we're going to do what we want with them. Still shocked that Dable still has his job. We're going to let that go.
Same.
Excuse me. But Abdul Carter, Cam Skeetabo, I always say
I love him.
Darius Alexander. Right? I'm telling you, this draft class, we'll see. Tony and I have already talked about this a little bit. We're going to talk more. Philadelphia, it all comes down to one sentence for Philadelphia. Can Saquon do it again? That's what this comes down to for Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. No other question.
He's healthy.
You do it again.
He's healthy.
And then their secondary, they had some pretty big changes in their secondary. It's definitely going to be a position to watch for them. Washington looks good. I think that as long as they stay healthy, as long as Lattimore stays healthy, we'll see how he can contribute. I think that their quarterback situation is great. I think they're in a good position to really kind of build on what they had last year. So I don't have.
They got A's, and that's why they got A's. Because when you look at their draft, it was all four games. It was some defense. I mean, they did it just perfectly, laying the foundation to try to build around this kid and this team. Totally. So I don't disagree with the grades. Yeah. If they all pan out, it's a home run. But like I said, we don't know. Could just tank. We just don't know.
God, I don't have a crystal ball.
I love Dan Quinn. All right, Sonia, talk to me about the NFC East and what you're feeling from this division.
Potential, a whole bunch of potential. I think this is going to be a very competitive division. I took out good because I don't think they're going to be great, but I think they're going to be very competitive. And I think it's going to be fun, as always, to watch this division. Let's start with the New York Giants. That's where I see the most potential. I think they're going to be better than they were last year. I like what they did with the draft. I mean, they have They have Russell. They have Jameis. They have Jackson. It's going to be
Don't forget Tommy DeVito. We love Tommy
DeVito. Right. Can't forget. But although, for real, though, I cannot forget Malik Neighbors, who was doing great things last year with that crappy offense. But now he's got real people to throw him the ball. So I think that that's going to be very good. Their offensive line has been serviceable. So I think that they might be able to do something. So I really like what the Giants did. I think they're going to improve. I don't think they're going to win the division at all, but I definitely think they're going to be better. Dallas. I want to say that you all will be a little bit better, but I'm having a hard time. I think they'll be okay, though. But there's potential. There is some potential there, I think, to show off some things. I mean, they got George Pickens. He's older, but still, I think that's some potential.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
I know. I'm trying to be good.
I know, and I appreciate that. Dallas is baffling to me because their decision-making is so Jerry, right?
So off.
Yeah, and so I worry, but at the same time, if they can keep their quarterback on the field, he's always, for sure.
But here's the thing. Are we at the point yet where we say, like with Sunshine down in Jacksonville, is this Dak's year? if he just does Dak things. I mean, where do you guys think we stand with Dak? Where do you think Jerry stands? Where do you think Cowboy Nation stands with Dak? Because right now, he's a mediocre quarterback right now, right? So what do you do with him if he has this same kind of mediocre year? Do you think this is Dak's last stance with them, or do they just continue to ride?
I'm going to look up the contract while Sonia answers you.
I think they're going to ride with Dak for a little bit longer until they get something better, but they don't necessarily have to get something better because they're the Cowboys. And so they will kind of, just do what they do.
Exactly, because I think they did it with Romo too, right? I think they rode Romo a little bit too long.
Yeah.
Girls, Dak's not going anywhere.
Okay.
4-year, $240 million contract extension, $231 million guaranteed.
Oh, yeah, he's
there through the 28th.
They've
got him a couple more years at minimum. I'm sure that there's language in there that they can get rid of him, but probably not till I would think after 26. So he's
solid then. Okay, that answered my question.
Sure. Yeah, he's good. Yeah. He's in there. The Eagles, I think they did do some things on defense that make you say, we'll see. But if they can keep Saquon healthy, I think they have a team mentality, and I think that they are good. So I think all they're going to do is just rebuild and just get stronger and better. And then Washington, I love what they've done. I like Jalen. He is fantastic. He's a fantastic quarterback. And I think that they have it. Like, I think last year they were playing with the house money. And so now they know what they can do. And I think that they will be good this year. So this division has a bunch of potential, and I love it.
I think, Sonia, to your point, that when you talk about 2 of the 4 teams, you know exactly what you're getting. You know what you're getting with the Eagles, and you know what you're getting with the Commanders. The thing is that the Eagles, they did make some interesting decisions in some of their older players, Darius Slay, just to name one. But, I do think that I think that you still kind of have a good idea of what you're going to get out of Sirianni, out of, Jalen Hurts. You kind of know what's there. Doesn't mean there won't be surprises or changes. Maybe, they won't be as good. Maybe they'll be better. Who knows, right? But I think that you have a good idea. Same with Washington. You know what you're getting out of Dan Quinn. You know what you're getting out of the rest of that team. And so you kind of have a really good, solid feel. I think, to your point with the potential, I think the biggest question mark in this division is the Giants. I completely agree with you. I think getting Abdul Carter in there and... Is it Scatabo? Is that how you say it? Scatabo. I hope I'm getting Cam. Yeah. I hope. So you put, this is not me tooting. This is not me tooting Russell Wilson's horn. You put Russell Wilson in there who can throw that long ball and can hand off a ball. Now, is he Russell Wilson of a few years ago? No. Is he an upgrade to what you had? Yes, with these pieces around you, especially a solid run game. But let's say Russell goes down. You still have Jameis Winston, who can still do that too. They both go down. You got your rookie. You can get it. They have so many options and different plays when it comes to quarterback. It makes you feel so much better about this team. And so they do have, oh, dang it, I forgot to write his name down. They have one defensive player who can't stay healthy, but when he's on the field, they do so much better. Like, their games are huge. So I think that that's really, really going to be the interesting story of the NFC East this year, is what happens in New York for the Giants. I think that that's going to be the more interesting. I have to put this comment up because it just makes me smile. CP says, DK, Jalen Ramsey, and Aaron Rodgers walk into a bar. My God, I don't know how Mike Tomlin's going to deal with that. I can't wait to watch and find out.
God bless.
Oh, God love you.
They might be just fine. Yeah, who knows? I mean, that's what I'm saying. My biggest fear with this division, I would say, out of all these 4 teams that we just talked about, my biggest fear is that we're not sitting here in several weeks after game 5, going into week 6, that we're not going to say, what the hell happened to Jalen Daniels? That is my biggest fear.
Yeah.
What happened? He had such a, because once again, he's coming off that kind of, to me, CJ Stroud thing. Your expectations are high, bro. You got to keep going up. So that's my biggest fear. I just hope we're not having a discussion like, what the hell happened?
And Lisa, just for those of you guys who maybe don't know, who didn't have the Jalen Ramsey DK Metcalf twice a year. Oh, they hate each other. It's so good. I can't stand it. I'm so excited. All right. Then Big Red's like, Washington will compete with Philly for the division. Meanwhile, Dallas is going to Dallas 100%. And Steven says, I'm okay with the Cowgirls falling flat. I just need the other teams to fall flat too. Fair enough.
Yeah.
And then Kristen says, everybody gets a quarterback. It's true. In New York, everybody gets a quarterback. So let me see. So then we have Big Red says, the rise and fall of Dallas depends on two words, Jerry Jones. So far, he's chosen poorly. I agree. And then Kristen says, Dallas is all over the place. Bad decisions for them are fun. It's so nice to see Washington back on top of that rivalry. I agree. I enjoyed that too. So anyway, I think it's really interesting. I think that where in the AFC East, you almost have kind of like in the AFC West, you have the chosen winner. And it's going to take a lot to knock them off the top of that block, right? Like that's kind of that's what's interesting about the Kansas City and the Bills rivalry, which I don't know if you guys have looked at Kansas City's schedule, but they have they play a bad team, then a really hard team, then a bad team, then a really hard team, and a bad team. They go back and forth. And so that's going to be very telling, I think, which will be interesting. But that's why that rivalry between the Bills and the Chiefs is so interesting, because within their own divisions, they are king of the hill. Mm-hmm. I do think the AFC West is going to be much more competitive this year. It's going to be a lot more fun to watch, but not so much in the AFC East, I don't think. When you get to the NFC East, I think it's that unknown. We don't know how the Eagles will respond after winning a Super Bowl. We don't know how the Giants are going to look a little different. We don't know how Daniels is going to come out again this year. So that's a little bit more of an unknown, which makes it more interesting to watch.
But we do know that the Giants are going to look different no matter what. Mm-hmm. As much as we sit here and talk about the coach, we'll really see this year, to me. Okay, because obviously they don't think it was all on him, obviously, because he's still there. But I think you're going to see, out of all four of these teams, this is going to be a considerable change for this team. Mm-hmm. So I don't think, as far as that is, and everybody agrees, when Washington and Dallas are competitive, it's a fun league.
Yeah. That's what we've always said. When the NFC East is good and the Raiders are good, that's what makes it a fun football league. I don't know why. It just is always the truth.
It always is.
So CP says, I think Philly's going to take a step back for a Super Bowl hangover. Commanders are going to win that division. Nothing would surprise me in that when it comes back. Like I said, and then Big Red throws it all in there. Way too Big Red. Washington versus Buffalo. Super Bowl. I would love two different teams. They would be amazing.
So the common denominator for me between Buffalo and the Chiefs is Andy Reid.
Agreed.
That he is just a different coach in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I mean, this guy knows how to win and how to put people in positions. So it's fun. I mean, I know it's boring for you guys because we want different teams and stuff, but it could be totally different. We have no idea. We don't know what's going to happen. I mean, injuries happen. Could see some major ones, could see some everybody, competitive at the end. That's all I want. I just want the competitiveness at the end. Mm-hmm. I want some of those games we had like a couple years ago where the divisions came down to the last week.
To the fifth tiebreaker?
Yeah.
Last year? Don't get me started. I was listening to Sirius XM NFL radio today, and they were talking about O-lines, and they were going through the NFC West O-lines, and they were going on, and they were talking about the division and how the Rams won the division, and it took them 15 minutes to explain how come the Rams won the division. It's like, that was just dumb. It was just too much. But yeah, it's true. Of all the divisions in the league, or maybe you could even pick one team outside of our own. So outside of the Lions for Sonia, outside of the Dolphins for Lisa, outside of the Seahawks for me, which team do you think is going to surprise people the most, either in a good or bad way?
I think Chargers are going.
Really? Why is that?
I do.
Is it evil Harbaugh?
And with exactly. He just elevates things, and I think it's fun. He makes the league fun, and he's going to make that division very competitive. And I think the Chargers are going to make some noise, and I think Chargers are going to knock teams out.
Lisa, you weren't on the show when we talked about this division, but we mentioned about how really this is Herbert's last chance. If he can't figure it out this year, they got to find a new quarterback.
Right, but I think he will with Harbaugh. I do. I think out of all the AFC, I'm just doing the AFC. because that's what I do. I just think at the AFC, I think the Chargers are going to be the team that's going to make a lot of noise.
Yeah. Sonia, what about you?
I think the Niners are going to surprise people, and they're not going to be very good this year.
From your mouth to the God's ears.
She's sucking up now. She's sucking up now.
I don't think they're going to be very good this year. I don't know. I just don't feel it this year with them. I think
team-wise or just coaching-wise? Team-wise or coaching-wise? Team-wise or coaching-wise? Player failures or team? Okay. All right.
Team-wise.
I think it's going to be interesting. There's been some serious changes there. That's for sure.
There have been a lot of changes. I don't think they're going to be as good.
The other podcast I do over for Real Hawk Talk, Brian does a morning show over there, Hawk Blogger Mornings. He did a whole show about the NFC West and how a lot of the teams are a little wobbly. So it'll be interesting. And 49ers was definitely one of them. I am excited. Obviously, I'm excited for the Raiders. I've said it a million times. I think Pete's going to go in there and completely change that. Am I completely, biased? Yes, absolutely. I am biased for Pete Carroll. Not Geno Smith necessarily, but I do love the Pete Carroll. But Pete Carroll with Max Crosby just makes me really excited. So that just makes me real happy. But the other team, which I think is going to be interesting to watch and not necessarily in a good way, is the Denver Broncos. And the reason why I say that, I hate that head coach.
I was going to say, whoa.
Not necessarily in a good way. There's so much expectation. They are slated to have the best defense in football next year. Mina Kimes did a whole thing about how she thinks they're going to have the best defense in football. And I think that that's really a lot of expectation for that team. And so can they live up to it? Because Sean Payton did not always live up to the hype. And so I want to see if that will be if he'll be able to do that. So, and then the other one is the Arizona Cardinals for me, because again, Lisa, you weren't on this show. We talked about how this has got to be Kyler Murray's last chance.
There's no doubt, right? Come on.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So we have a couple questions. Well, CP first. Let me do this one first. CP says he thinks it's the Lions' year to win it all. And you just made a new best friend.
They said that last year. If they would have stayed healthy, I think we would have seen a different game at that end.
I think so too.
Yep. Agreed.
Big Red wants to know best quarterback in the NFC East preseason. Jackson Dart. I bet Jackson Dart comes out and kind of lights it up a little bit. I do. I think it'll be interesting. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Clever.
Sorry.
Steven says for his surprise team, I can see the Bears making a big step in challenge for a wild card spot. I think that team is going to be greatly improved also. I think that'll be interesting. Shocker. Big Red says Spencer Rattler. Sorry, Spencer Rattler. Anyway, Spencer Rattler gets a job in New Orleans and makes a playoff run. And then can Darth Hobbaum make a playoff run? Yes, I think so. Yes. I think so.
Lots.
All right, you guys. So that is it for our divisional wrap-up shows. You can go back to our website, which is ourturffb.com. Ourturffootball.com. Sorry. Can't even remember my own website's name. And you can watch all the division wrap-ups if you missed your team and us talking about them. Next week, we're working on a guest that we're pretty excited about to have for you guys for next week. Kate is working on that guest for us, so that's wonderful. And then we are taking the week of the 15th off because we're going to then prep for training camp. And at that point, we will be on every single week until the Super Bowl. So thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube, pretty please. And make sure that if you don't follow us on Blue Sky and you're on Blue Sky, head over there and follow us there too. And we will see all of you guys next week. Bye.